All right, ladies and gents, I believe we are live again. Another episode of Chewin the Fat. Who would believe that we've been on for just over 12 months now? So this is season 2. We're up to episode 10 already. Can't believe it's cranked out that much. We have got a really cool guest on tonight. I've had some really good ones. But tonight we're talking to Ken Thompson, and we are going to talk about any of your questions that you have on Lowrance, Simrad sounders, ghost trolling motors, active target, whatever you want, we can talk about. Ken is just so much in the know, and he's willing to answer all your questions tonight. So don't forget to whack your postcodes in. We've still got two shirts left. One's a Queensland round Bunduma, and the other one's a Berkeley round that Al Mac donated. So whoever wins the postcode prize tonight will get to choose which one of those they want. So don't forget to put your postcodes in. We also, as I said, have special guests on tonight, Ken Thompson, to talk all about, you know, anything Lowrance, Simrad. He's got heaps of stuff that he'll bring up as well. This weekend, I'm shooting up for a short drive. I think it's only about a 14-hour drive to get up to the Clarence River. We're going to fish for the Clarence round, which should be round 3, but it's actually round 2 of the ABT, and then followed by the weekend after. We're coming back down to the Mawela Native Classic, obviously at Mawela. So looking forward to the next 2 weeks. It's going to be very, very busy. So I'm not sure on who I'm going to have on next week, but we'll work it out from there. We've got don't forget to put your questions in. So the best question, we'll spin the wheel with Harry later on. So get your questions in and get your postcodes in. We've got a heap of people on already. So what I need to do is I need to bring the gentleman on himself, Ken, and we'll have a quick chat. G'day, mate. How you going?
Hey, Corey. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good. You're on the way to a fishing comp yourself, from what we're talking off air.
Yeah. I'm in. Was it Brewerin at the moment? Heading north. Driven about 650 odd k's or something today, and we'll double up and do that again tomorrow. And then fishing in a comp at Lucinda, Port Hinchinbrook.
Yeah,
I think I mentioned to you once before. It's probably one of my favourite places to go to, man. It's just like Jurassic Park versus Australia. Like it's such a cool spot.
It is such a cool spot, and such a great spot that you can go pretty much out past the jetty and go out to the islands if you're into that sort of thing, as well as come back up into the Hinchinbrook, go all the way up. Just Lucinda is just, oh look, I just love the place. I will definitely get there on my around Australia trip and probably not leave. I think I fell in love with it last time. It's a beautiful spot.
Yeah, mate, for sure. Funny enough, there's a lot of crocodiles there. I've been there for the last 5 years, once or twice a year. I haven't actually seen a crocodile there yet. I've seen where they go, and everyone else has told me the stories about them. And so, touch wood, I'm happy not to see them. Yeah, but it's interesting.
They do scare the crap out of me, the old crocodiles. But when I was up there, now I'm talking a very long time ago. It would have been 10 years ago. I was up there, and the actual croc was living at the boat ramp there, and they were telling everyone to make sure that they backed their boats in and stayed in their boats, not actually got out of their boats and walked up. It is one of those spots, but that's nature for you.
It is, yeah, where it's their home ground, isn't it?
Yes, that's it. Now, I've got Harry heard that it was your birthday, so he's cooked you a little cake, mate. Look, you ready? There you go. So happy birthday to you. This is a cupcake made by Harry last night. So
thanks, Harry.
There you go. I'll blow the candle out for you.
Cheers.
And I see that Dave Lawson's on there as well. Dave's a follower of the show. It's his birthday today as well. So happy birthday, Dave.
Another legendary person.
Yeah, listen, mate, I've been involved with Lowrance for a long, long time now. I suppose from way back before I was involved at Bunduma and BP, I was one of the first to get the Gen 3s. I've followed you all the way through. I've tried to stay loyal, although, when the active target or whatever the other brands were calling it were coming out, I was like, should I jump ship? But one thing that I couldn't go without, and it didn't matter what everyone else had on the market, I couldn't go without the social maps, mate. I just, for anyone that hasn't jumped on the Lowrance bandwagon in the last 10 years or hasn't jumped on and just had a look at the maps, I mean, I've been all week, I've been on the Clarence River working out who's mapped where and whatnot. It's just an invaluable tool. Take aside all the new stuff that we will talk about. Those social maps, it must have been huge for you guys.
Yeah, look, when it first came out, like back in the Gen 3 days, as you mentioned, it was a big thing for us, mainly because we were the only ones with it, and it was so simple. Now, obviously, you can do it live on your units as well with different options. We can do that too. But the social maps, when you rock up to, I mentioned about Awonga before as well, like rock up to Awonga, never been there before, download the social map of the area and you're laughing. It's all the information's there, And even on the latest C maps that we've actually released now actually have those social maps built into them. So it's another bit of homework already done for you when you rock up to somewhere,
Yeah, no, and having the contours was for especially when ABT started to branch out away from just Boondooma and Somerset, and they were going to the Wilson River, they were going to, Kenya and all these different dams. It was invaluable to have those. I preferred to actually have the maps than even the sonar on. I could find edges, I could find riverbanks, I could find flats, and invaluable. But now you've gone that we're talking years ago. So you've gone from Gen 3 to the carbons, and now we're into the live units. I have to say, I was lucky enough to upgrade to a live unit about a month and a half ago. Changed over all the transducers on the boat. I got the I'm a full network, full system guy. So I've put the Ghost on, I've got the live on, and full network with my Mercury. I've got gauges, I've got sonic hubs, I've got everything going. But the clarity of those lives, I have to say, is just magic, mate. But we can all talk about the top of the range stuff, and this is not what it's all about for me. I wanted to talk to, because I've got a lot of guys out there, and the questions will come in. But the new FS Elites, geez, you're a great little package.
Yeah, it's traditionally you've always had the good, better, and your best range in the Lowrance series. So it used to be the Hook series, or it is still the Hook Reveal. Then you went up into the Elite, the older ones were the TI series, and then you went to the Rolls-Royce HDS. And competition in the market's a healthy thing for all the brands to progress and become better. So the Elite TI units have come out now with features pretty much of a HDS on a simpler platform. So just really a few less buttons, what else? There's not much else that's missing. It's still got your sort of sounder, your power outputs and stuff like that, like we can do on there. It is only a single 1 kilowatt output on the back of it, compared to the HDS has got the dual 1 kilowatt. But yeah, there's still, I guess that the HDS is the ultimate fishing system for when you're running a full-fledged boat, like our demo boat that I'm towing at the moment. I've got every bit of technology that we've got on that. In that scenario, it's ideal. The Elite FS for the people that are after 1, maybe 2 units, because we can network them. It's our first mid-range product that can network.
Yep.
And you might even have a HDS live now, and the missus or the husband, to be politically correct, of course. Sometimes it's the women that are into the fishing more than the husband, which is fantastic. I think. So I know with those sorts of scenarios, if you've got a HDS live on there already, you can actually network an FS unit to it. Yep. So you don't have to have 2 HDSs. You can have an Elite FS and a HDS. So,
yeah, for sure. I just love the clarity of the screen. Somebody's already mentioned it in here in the comments I've seen before. Where was it?
How good's all the postcodes coming through before? That was awesome. I can't believe how many people around Australia. This is awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, no, they're all on there. I've got a really loyal supporter base, and I do thank them very much. Jamie's put in there. Yeah, he loved the Lowrance setup at Go Fish Nagambie. Obviously, that was
the trailer. You saw the trailer?
Yeah, the trailer was really, really cool. And that's where I really looked at that elite system and I went, that is such a good system for a lot of the guys out there that maybe, are looking to get into fishing and want a really good unit. And a lot of the Murray cod guys or guys down here that have got a second boat or a tinny that they're just using in the river itself, they're dropping it down riverbanks and kayaks and stuff like that, to be able to have that and still have your active target hooked to it if you want, or it's got the network availability. Just a great little unit, eh?
Yeah, and it's that price point. It's funny, over the 13 years that I've been working for Navico, and I was selling the electronics for 10 years before that, down in Adelaide. Hi to anyone from Adelaide. It's always been that sort of $1,200 to $2,000 mark is that sort of niche. That's a lot of sales for every brand, and to really hit that with the features that Elite FS has got, it's a fair challenge for anyone else to try to keep up with, I tell you.
Oh, 100%. But what else have you got in the market? Because a lot of people that watch my show probably don't know that Navico is the overseer of it all, so to speak. So you've got there it is there. Look at that. Got the shirt. Actually,
doing it upside down.
Yeah, no, it's all good. So,
yeah.
Simrad, tell us a little bit of what are the major differences if I wanted to go to buy a unit now and I'm fishing for Murray cod. What's the difference between Simrad and Lourance?
Look, I'd like to say it's a Holden Ford comparison, but Holden's not around much anymore. But and don't tell me the results from the weekend's racing yet. I haven't had a chance to watch it. I'll probably watch it on KO after this. But anyway, and just quick hello to Dale Sinclair. I can see your comments, mate. He's a good dude. Maybe
he's supposed to be at a stocking group meeting today. He told me that he wouldn't be on because he was at a stocking group meeting. So he's probably sitting in the stocking group meeting with the phone in the background. So.
You're all good. What was the question again?
Yeah, well, the difference between Simrad and Lourance.
Yeah, that's it. That's where we're going. Yeah. So the Holden Ford, I mentioned that part. So if it's really the markets that it's advertised at, like there's no reason why you can't put a Simrad on a bass boat, and there's no reason you can't put a Lowrance on a big battle wagon game fishing boat. But at the end of the day, Lowrance is more designed for that sort of top of the line trailer boat right through to your super yachts, commercial vessels, etc., like that. And some people like to know that, my Simrad unit, that could be used on my 6 meter boat, that could be used on a 100-foot vessel. So it's a good feeling for you. To see my wife comment, I'll come back to that.
I didn't see that.
My husband has the new active target on his boat. I feel he spends too much time playing with the electronics and doesn't actually catch down. How do we bar her off of here?
Yeah.
She's normally asleep by now. What are you doing? Anyway, I've got to be careful because I'm first day of 2 weeks away from home. So, hi, love you all.
Yeah, love you all.
Yeah. And Jack better be in bed just in case.
Now, I want to give a big shout out to Jack because Jack might actually be on there watching. And I follow you on Facebook and was following you last year with the live stream and did see the photo of him with it. Show us that photo for Jack. So
I've got to drop this off to John at Awonga on the way back, but this way.
I'll bring that up on the screen. There we go.
That's his first barra that we caught. And I was telling you the story once before how when he caught that fish, it was after 3 days of fishing in the rain, crazy weather up in Hinchinbrook. And the fishing wasn't very good unless you were from there, So he didn't catch anything. He caught a nice jack, like mangrove jack, but no barra. Then we did another couple of trips at some other lakes on the way down. Did one night at Awonga and still didn't catch a barra. We had a hit, missed it. Fair enough, And I said to the wife the next morning, I'm sorry, but I really think we need to try this one more time before I drive home with him. And we'd been on the road for over 2 weeks by then. And
yeah.
And she was like, fine, And then that night, you might remember, I did a Facebook Live post about, him and I sitting there talking to each other about how we didn't catch this fish. We tried so hard and we didn't didn't catch that fish, but we'll keep trying. You know, we won't give up yet. We'll give it another half an hour. And he agreed. You know, and you know, I'm not an overly religious person. There's probably something out there, but I pray to everything. Everyone's religion, everyone's God. So I don't know who came through with the goods for me, but thank you. And yeah, we got that 98 centimetre barra. He was so excited when he landed when I managed to get it in the net and into the boat on the third attempt. He was so excited, yelling that much that he fainted, like he just hyperventilated and.
That's unreal.
Yeah, and then Dean Sylvester, who's on this trip with me, he's towing that trailer that we had at Go Fish Nagambie. He's towing the trailer and I'm towing the boat. And he was on another boat with Jeff Newby a couple of 100 metres away, and they heard it all from there, you know, at 9 o'clock at night. So they came over, and he's the one that took the photos because I was shaking. It was that best father-son moment. It's what, you know, I reckon they could easily make a movie of it. So.
That didn't they make one of those where they went out and got stuck on the wave or something? No, that was a different movie. But yeah, look, it was
anyway,
awesome.
So back to the Simrad thing, you reckon?
Yeah.
I think we've had 3 tangents on the first question already. So apologise for that. So the Simrad is, like I say, top of the trailer boats right through to the biggest boats you got. Lowrance is right from your kayaks through to your tinnies and your large end sports trailer boats still, you know. So like I mentioned, there's plenty of boats out there and cruisers and stuff that still use the Lowrance gear as well. But it's really sort of, when it comes to a larger system on a 50-foot, say, Maritima or something like that, then you can have 4 24-inch Simrad screens, you know. So the Lowrance goes up to a 16 now, as you know, with the live screens.
Yep.
Whereas Simrad goes up to a 24. So you can sort of get a bit of the idea of what the market that we're sort of aiming those products at from that.
The
market, also B&G.
The whole Simrad market is for that pay packet that most of us average anglers don't earn. Yeah.
And if there's any yachties on the chat, probably not many at the moment. Nothing wrong with them, you know. It's so we have the B&G product as well. So the B&G gear is the Brooks and Gatehouse. It's the thoroughbred of racing gear, and available in smaller versions of B&G stuff now as well.
Yeah, excellent. That's awesome, and that's basically an easy way for me to explain it from now, because a lot of people ask me, should I be Lowrance, should I be Simrad? Basically, yeah, I just tell them what I've got, so it makes it easier for me. So
yeah, nice.
Shane Murray's got a good question here. He goes, when's KO coming to Navico so I can watch footy while we're fishing? Shane, to let you know this, because I'm away this weekend and I'm an avid Essendon supporter and the Anzac Day Clash is on this weekend, I am going to be streaming KO to my phone into the Lowrance and watching the footy on my live this weekend while I'm fishing, and I will send you some videos of it, Shane. So it can be done.
Can be done. On the 12 and the 16-inch, they've got a HDMI input on the back, so you can do it through that.
Yep. And we've got a little one here. This is a very big supporter of my show, Elon. Ken, what would you recommend for an occasional bass impoundment fisherman on a 4.4 centimetre tinny? Would be the best setup for around $1,000?
I can tell you exactly. Actually, I saw that question. It's a good one. That's why I've got my iPad over here with the pricing and everything ready to go. But in a good range is the Hook Reveal series, and for $1,000, $999 retail. There's the Hook Reveal 9 triple shot. So with the Hook Reveal series, it's just non-touch, still color screen, button control. Comes complete in the package. Like all the new Lowrance gear is pretty cool. If you're buying a combo unit, it's got the chart built into it. So you don't need to worry about losing the chart. You don't need to worry about buying a chart separate. Okay, it's all built into it. It's in that box, that perfect retail box ready to go. So that's a good size 9-inch screen for $999. You know, your 7-inch screen might be enough at $750 odd retail. But if I go back to my little Elite FS screens here, like that Elite FS with the chart and everything in there, retails for $1,286. So if you go in and see your local dealer, and don't get me wrong, we got some fantastic dealers all the way around Australia, the world, of course, but I always like to talk to your local dealer. Your local guy is the one that's going to give you the service, and if he doesn't, probably needs to be spoken to. But to have the brand in their shop in the first place is we're lucky to have them and they're lucky to have us. Like that's why we work so well together with all of our dealers. So that Elite FS7 at 1,286, whatever is the retail price, including GST. Sure, you can talk them down a little bit. It might not be $1,000, but it might be close to or something like that. And that's going to give you touch screen, like dual touch, pinch to zoom, everything. Like it's that's the duck's nuts. So.
Yeah, and they're just for his case, young fella getting into it, there is nothing wrong with starting with those hook units. They are still a really, really good unit for the impoundments. For sure.
And that's what I'm saying. So like the hook reveal, it'll still give you, as long as you get the triple shot model. So with the hook reveal, just so I go back a step, there's a bullet transducer, which is just normal straight down sonar. There's a split shot transducer, which gives you the normal 2D sonar and down scan. And then there's the triple shot. The triple shot's what you do really want for your impoundment stuff. So you get the normal sonar, the down scan, and the side scan picture as well.
Oh, sure. So the hook reveal with that has the side scan as well.
Yeah. On that triple shot model, it's once again another thing that we had to make sure we just to as we believe, stay in front of the competition, put side scan everything into that base model unit. So
that's giving you side scan for under $1,000. That's pretty cool.
No, mate, you can get side scan now. If I go back over here, like in the 5-inch units, triple shot 5-inch for under $500.
That's crazy. Like it was only how far can technology? The question hasn't come, but really, how far can technology take us? 10 years ago when we first seen the HCS Gen 3s, it's like nothing can beat this. And then, the clarity just got better and different units. Now with the whole forward-facing sonar scenario coming into play, I mean, how much better can it get?
Oh, mate, there's no limit with technology, is it? And some things come along faster than others. You mentioned about like active target. We wanted that out a couple of years ago, but we brought out the live sight, which was it's a really good product for the deeper water stuff, but we just didn't hit the market right for the barra and the impoundment stuff. Now the active target's here, and holy moly, like if you could see our global back order list of the active target transducers alone, it's like the last 12 months of COVID's been crazy. My brother, for instance, in Victoria, lost his job because he worked in a travel centre place. But, I look at what I've been able to successfully do over the last 12 months with my customers. My dealer network has just gone gangbusters, So as horrible as it's been, I've got to also put my work hat on and say it's actually been a really good, productive 12 months for the marine industry, not just us, but for everyone involved,
Yeah. No, I know that for sure. As we talked about off air, I work very closely with Bluefin and you guys and smaller companies like Bassman and we just the same comments in different ways always come up, but the customer has now started to accept the whole thing that there is a backlog. And we just can't get air freight from other countries. There's not enough planes running where it could just be jumped on any plane. There's shipping container backlogs. There's everything going on, and look. Unfortunately, that's the nature of the beast, and I think the customer is now more accepting of the fact that we're going to have to just wait for stuff. It's not all there on hand. Which in a business sense too, you're selling the units before you're actually getting them in, which that's good business sense. I mean, you can't, it's unfortunate for the customer, but who wouldn't do that if you were running the business?
Yeah. Well, it's the reason why we've still got a job. Everyone didn't know what was going to happen. No one had a crystal ball that could tell you what was going to happen 12 months ago, did they? So
No, for sure. We never thought it'd probably be like this, but anyway, that's the way
we'll take it. I just saw Mark Cook's question there.
Yep.
This is a really good platform, by the way. I can see you. I can see the questions. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Is that the one with what's your favourite feature?
What's your favourite part? So,
bring that up.
Yeah. And if you go back up a couple of questions, someone's already answered it for me. Go back up. Can I scroll up on here? Yeah, I can. What Kevin Beams put up.
Yep.
That the Lowrance units are very user-friendly. Like, that is by far the biggest selling point of our products. It's amazing how many times we do these talks and all that sort of stuff. Thanks, Kevin. It's when we do these sorts of talks or events at anything from a BCF store through to another local retail outlet. Everyone says, "Oh, what settings should I do, and how far should I do this, and how far should I do that?" And I'm like, when I'm fishing, and don't get me wrong, I'm no professional fisherman. I'm kind of like a jack of all fishermen as such. I don't specialize in one, but I run the units in auto. Like, automatic features will outperform 90% of what you want to do. You know what I mean? Like, and with the touchscreen units now, and the hook units are still simple, but obviously touch makes it easier and faster. But with the touchscreen units, when everything's within 1 or 2 button presses, if it takes you longer than 1 or 2 button presses or screen touches to get to it, then you're probably looking in the wrong spot. Or you're not looking for something you need to be playing with. Everything's been made so simple to follow. So
yeah, look, and I don't know how many times that I go in and I have a bit of a fiddle, and it's always like, "You idiot, what you do that for?" Manufacturer specs, and it all works. Like, why did I bother touching it?
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, like there's guys like you might be out on the water all the time. Like Nick White, for instance, from Tech Fishing, one of our pro staff guys. He's a guru with our products. He gets more hours on the water than a lot of people I know. But when we see what he does with his sounders, and he has most of it running on auto, but every now and again he changes his ranges and stuff like that to what he suits. And it's because he spent the time, he knows what he's looking for, whereas if you're still learning how to use your unit, leave it in auto and just worry about what you're seeing on the screen and what lure choice you're going to make.
Yeah, I've got a question here from Kevin that might lead into a little bit of that. Now, this is more a personal preference, but it's a great question. It says, do you change your color palettes on your down and side scan depending on the conditions for better clarity? Is that something that that does work, or is that just a personal preference?
I think it's a little bit to do with personal preference. At night time, for instance, when I was at Awonga getting that fish, I told you how excited I was about that. Getting that big fish with my son, we actually had the side scan running in that green sort of, Hulk green sort of color, and it did seem to look clearer, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
And I mean, during the daytime, though, I love running that bright yellow or the bright blue sort of turquoise colors or whatever. So, yeah, I think more importantly, there's a couple of screenshots that Whitey actually gave me to use in the talks and stuff, is knowing the range and the side scan of what you should be running. So I can't show you the screenshots now because we're on here, but the idea of, if you're fishing for brim, you don't run the sounder at 200 foot either side of the boat, because if there's a brim on there, it's going to show up as maybe half of a pixel. You know what I mean? It's not going to show up on the screen.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're fishing for, threadies or something like that in the Brisbane River, by all means, you can run 200 feet and still see the fish. The fish will look the same size as if you're running in 60 feet of water, a 60-foot range either side, so 120 foot total. But by running, the brim, what they look like in 120 foot will look the same as what threadies at a metre long look like at 200 feet.
Yeah.
So know the species that you're looking for is what I guess I'm trying to say without waving my arms around too much.
Yeah, no, for sure. Now, I've got to give the postcode prize away. So we normally do that about halfway through. So as I said, they're a bit of a collector's shirt, never been worn, donated by Al McNamara. This is an old ABT shirt from Lake Boondooma, or you get the choice. This one's a Evinrude Berkeley one. So you get the choice, and the winner this week is from Lismore, believe it or not. Harry picks these out. He sits inside and watches the comments, picks it out. So from Lismore, and it's Dylan Walsh. So, Dylan, you're the postcode winner. If you can just comment in the questions which one you would like, the green Boondooma one or the grey Berkeley one, and I will post them up to you. Or actually, I'll probably just bring it up to the Clarence on the weekend and give it to you. So that'll be even easier.
Delivery.
Save me on postage, that one.
It'd probably be faster these days with the way the freight's going.
Oh yeah, look, I'm waiting on half a dozen items before I leave on when am I leaving? Thursday morning early. So I'm hoping that all my parcels turn up in time. But you can't rely on Australia Post. I've been sent a message since we're on air here, and I just want to bring this up. And this photo here has just been sent to me from Brad from Bluefin. I think you've got that little tinny there decked out quite well, mate.
That was when my budget was not as good as it was now. So yes, thanks, Brad. I remember that photo. That was you can see there the HDS Gen was it HDS Gen 3 before the HDS Gen 2 before the touch. So, yeah, I remember that well. That was not far off the time when I took Brad on a demo day when we started doing social maps actually, and we were out on which lake was it? One of the Gold Coast ones. Maroon or Muggera. It was Lake Muggera, and we were out there and we were mapping it. As a group of us went out there to map it, just so we've got this map and no one else has got it, And then we shared it with the world. It was like, oh well, and that's all good. But Brad, if you might remember, he's probably still got the scars from the sunburn that we had. It was a hot day, and it was he had one of his wild fishes there. We were in that, and I actually sat inside the live well because it was so hot. So with it full of water.
Yeah, there you go. He said it was one of the first days he'd met you, so that's there's a cool.
I just saw one of those other questions as well. One of my colleagues is on here, Nick. Hey, Nick. He just commented about the trolling motor. So yeah, the Lowrance and the Simrad stuff can hook up to the motor guide and the new Lowrance Ghost motor, of course.
Yep. So I had the network. As I said, I'm a full network. I love all of my gadgets, and I had. The motor guide XI5 always linked with my Lowrance units through the NEMA, and just changing over to the Ghost this year, it's what a beast of a trolling motor that thing is.
Yeah, and it is freshwater only. We're going to keep stressing we've built that thing for freshwater. We know we can warrant and back up the product for its lifetime in freshwater.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's people that are using it in saltwater. Good news is we haven't had any faults. So nothing's come back to bite us, but we're letting people know that it's not covered. But then it's amazing how many people have been using all the other brands' freshwater units in saltwater for 20 years, and they some people, the ones I've spoken to at events where they're like, oh, no, I know it's only for fresh water, but I want it because of how good it is. I'm like, okay, just so you know. They're like, yeah, but all we've done with the other ones is used it for 5 years and then throwing it out. It's like, I wish I could say my wife. I don't think she'd be watching still now. I don't even know, but there's no way in hell she'd let me buy a new motor every 5 years or something. So you want that stuff, and by all means, if you wash it and look after it, it'll probably be okay. But we're not rating it for salt water yet.
No, and salt water is that's why I don't like fishing salt water anyway. It's just. It's just messy. So, but I'll stick to my fresh water, my cod, my impoundments, and I'll be laughing. So,
it's that Ghost motor though. It's the feedback we're getting from the people running it. It's so quiet, brushless motors. You can run it all day on lithium batteries and not going to have a problem. I will talk about that later maybe, but I've just rewired our boat up and put in lithium batteries on that, but we'll come back to that. But that Ghost motor, we've done a lot of shootouts with the products, others on the market with the exact same boats. There's videos for the guys in the US that have done it in the Bass Lakes and anchor it on a rough weather, windy, rainy, crappy day, anchored 3 boats up next to each other, and you watch the drone footage, and it's just amazing how it just sat there.
Yeah.
The boat moves a little bit, but the bow where the actual anchor point was didn't move. Within a couple of meters, maybe.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that I used to have the XI5, and I thought that was the best. And I used to spot, especially for, say, Glenbourne, when you're grubbing trees, you're spot locking on top of a tree. Because you can't see it, you didn't know how far you were actually moving. But I used to watch some of the brands and guys spot lock beside me. We'd be drifting apart meters upon meters upon meters and whatnot. But I was lucky enough when I had the Ghost for the ABT round at Glenbourne, and I was actually gulping inside of trees and confident enough to sit in that spot, and the boat wasn't rubbing on anything inside the actual tree. So I have to say that from my first efforts on that spot lock, it is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, no, we've got one in that Go Fish, as you would have seen on that trailer down at Go Fish Nagambie. But so we've got one in the back of the trailer up here. So just so if anyone's in Queensland, we're actually going to have the Lowrance trailer, and I call it my boat, but it's the Navico boat. But it lives at my house most of the time, so we'll call it mine. Yeah. Possession's 9/10 of the law or whatever they say. But we're going to be in the Hinchinbrook from Thursday till Monday this weekend. So the Lucinda Hotel, if anyone's in the area, come down and see us at the trailer there. With all the product mounted on there, and the JL, other sleeve this side here, the JL audio stuff will be on there too for the cranking beats, and then next week we're doing a talk night at Reef Marine on Friday night down in Mackay, and then one on Wednesday night Wednesday night at Whitsunday Outboard Centre in Airlie Beach. So, and some other visits and stuff along the coast on the way up and down too.
Yeah, for sure. So that trip itself. You've got the guru with you. He's in the room next door, probably making some sort of video or some Skype.
Yeah, be on Instagram or something else. Like that.
Yeah. So we won't say too much. We'll see if he's actually watching. He'll come out here in a minute. So we'll see if he's watching. Let's see if there's any more questions in there because I do want to touch on that whole lithium power side of things. Let's see if we've got some more questions.
Paul Langley's he's got a ghost, has he? Game changer. He does. There you go.
There you go. 4 days fishing and have barely touched the batteries. It's awesome. Boat package works together. Half the time you have to check if your foot's on the way. Well, it is that quiet. That was probably one of the first things I noticed is, I was able to change the tow button, what do you call it, whatever you want to call the button on the pedal to the opposite side, because that's what I was used to.
Left or right footed.
Changed it over, and if you're running it on a really, really low setting, some of the times I actually had to look down to see the glow on the actual head of the unit to see if it was, because I couldn't hear it. It was that's
that brushless technology, man. It's amazing how quiet that is. So.
And then going from that to now, I have to say that I've got a small boat in the sense of the field. I've got a 5 meter aluminium boat. It is a bass boat style boat in the Allocraft, but it is a small boat, and I cannot under any circumstance run it on 10 because I will end up. I will end up in the water. I did have it on once, and I nearly went sideways and I nearly went into the water. So
funny story with that, and I guess I could say it's no big deal, but when we had a prototype one sent over for us before it was released, and we had it on our demo boat, my demo boat, to show some of our dealers before it come to public knowledge, and I was using it, and the guys had stitched me up on purpose, and they'd put the 0 as 10 and 10 as 0.
Yep.
So, and of course, I got straight on the phone to them, and they were just staring me up. They've done it on purpose, they reckon, apparently. But it was a hand-built one. And, so I had it at 0, had the motor pointing sideways. So I put it up onto 1, pushed the trigger, and off I went.
And I've always been an electronic steer with the XI5s, and I've never really run the cables, and always struggled when I went up the front of somebody else's boat to try and drive a cable steer. But I have to say that it is nearly exactly the same as every cable steer boat that I've ever been in.
You won't pick the difference. There's no way. Like the speed that thing turns around, you think it is a cable. You know, there's some even say it's faster, but like how fast can it? It's faster than what you can react to. You know what I mean? From one full lock to the other full lock, it's like that.
Yeah. Awesome when you're getting yourself, especially in my whaler and that snaggy stuff, when you see one of those stumps coming up, you can get out of there real quick. I got a question here. Shane Eastman's asked, is the Elite FS12 coming out, or are you going to keep it at a 9, go to the 12?
7.9. Yep. 7.9 only. With that, that's one of the things that's with the Elite TI2 range, we went up to a 12. But the price of the actual LCD screen is quite a lot more. So you jump up to $3,500 or something still for I think it was the TI2 was $3,700 for a 12-inch unit, versus the FS9 is $1,899. $1,900. So realistically, at $3,700 for a 12-inch FS, you'd go for a 9-inch HDS instead. So then you've got that premium product in a nice size screen still, you know. Like the 12-inch screen is a fantastic size, and it's almost become the norm these days for the tournament anglers and that, you know. It's amazing how many times you see people side consoles or center consoles with a 12-inch unit hanging off the side of them because the particular boat builders haven't worked out that people want big screens. And, you know, Brad and I have spoken about that many times with the Bluefin guys and stuff. Like, these guys are listening to the market and saying, oh, I need a bigger console. I need to be able to fit those bigger screens in the dash.
Yeah, sure. And you're even seeing them now with 12-inch flush mounts up the front on the front decks as well. So,
yeah.
You know, it's amazing. And as you said, the screens are getting bigger.
Yeah. Like when we were designing the HDS 16, there was obviously the big boat builders that build thousands and thousands of boats in the US. And when our product managers went to them, the only one out of, I think it was 6 that they went to and said, if we build a 16-inch screen, will you use it? All of them said, let us know as soon as you can because we need to redesign our console so we can fit the 16s in. Only one pushed back to say, I don't think they'll sell. Well, they're kind of eating their words now because the 16s are selling awesome.
Yeah. What's a 16 is basically 4 9-inch screens.
Not far off, yeah. It's almost like 2 12s. It's if you got 7 to 9's a fair jump, but when you go from a 9 to a 12, if you got 2 9s and turn them on their side, it's like 1 12-inch screen. Yeah. And then if you get 2 12s and turn them on their side, so they're in that portrait instead of landscape. That's like having a 16. So one HDS 16 is kind of like having 2 12s in itself.
Excellent. So that answers that question. Greg Beatty's on here. I've got to bring this question up. I knew somebody to ask it at some stage tonight, and it'll be a little bit of tongue-in-cheek coming from Greg. But
this is the active target one?
Yeah, this is the active target one. So what are your thoughts, with tournaments actually banning the use of – now, we're talking – there was a tournament down here, and we've had a bit of a dig at this a couple of times over the last 3 weeks, and I've got no – problem with tournament directors making their own rules, but it was 360, Garmin, Live Scope, and Active Target were all banned on the 4th day of a comp. What are your thoughts?
Well, here's a funny one. When social maps first came out, there was people talking about banning that.
Yep.
And now it's everyone wants it because it's a standard, In 5 years, 10 years, who knows? I'm sure it won't be long, but the active target sort of technology will get better. It'll be built into every unit, so no one will be able to have a product on their boat. So it's a tough one. If it was me personally, I would say that everyone that's finished in the top 10 before can't have it because I don't normally get to finish in the top 10. So then I've got a chance, Well, I did get 4th. My team and I got 4th in the Flatty Classic a few years ago, and that was pretty cool. So maybe I shouldn't say that, but it's hard. Like, does that mean you should also then ban certain types of lures that maybe work better than others?
Yeah, well, I did get stung on April Fool's Day not concentrating because America's different to Australia, and when they actually got all the Bass Pros in America and told them that they couldn't use a certain lure and they're all going off their heads. Well, I fell for it and seen the clip. So, as you said, if it's available to the general public, I can't see how it can be banned.
Yeah, it's a tough one as well. And I don't know. I'm sure there'll be some reasons why. But, the tournament anglers over the years, it'd be the same sort of thing as when they tried to, reduce horsepower and reduce speed limits and stuff like that. I don't get to fish many tournaments. I only fish normally 1 or 2 a year. So I'm probably not the right person to ask. But, technology's technology. If it's there, you got to use it.
That's it. Now, Mark's got a good one here. He said, can one of the ghost boffins make the steering indicator light dull down in the brightness, save running tape over it? And I have to say I do a lot of, especially now in the winter months for cod fishing, I have got duct tape in the boat that I used to even run on the little LED lights on my XI5 because that bright light right in front of it was really hard. Is that something that, I mean, you're not in the department, but Could that be done with a software sort of upgrade scenario, or is
there has been talk about it, and it should just be a software update, but you've also got to be careful with LED lights. Like I know, for instance, we replaced all the downlights in my home, in our house at home or whatever, and at full brightness, they're not a problem. As soon as you start to dim them down, there's a little bit of a chatter or a flicker about them.
Yep.
So I think that's where they've just got to, it's all to do with the frequency that the light's actually operating at. So they've got to try to balance that right. So you're not sitting there thinking, oh, there's something wrong with my motor because it's flickering, So it's not as easy as to simply dimming it down, I don't believe. But there definitely has been talk about it. I know with our Halo radars, so the dome radars and the open scan radars, the big open scanners, they have blue LED lights on them as a cool factor. That's the best way I can say it. It looks awesome, but do you need it? Probably not, but it looks awesome on your boat. Underwater lights look awesome as well, but you don't really need it, But those lights can be dimmed, so it's definitely something that they've mentioned to us, and the R&D guys are looking at it. So it may actually be in there. I haven't heard anything recently.
Yeah, no, sweet. That's a good question. Thank you, Mark.
That's it would be, I would say, it would be a software change. And that's probably another big point if we can bring that up now, even if that's all right. But update your software. Make sure your units have always got the latest software in there. It doesn't matter if it's the basic little combo unit or if you've got a full-fledged. And if you're not sure how to do it, go to your local dealer who's helped you buy the gear in the first place, and go to them and talk to them about it, because I get a lot of phone calls for, upset people that have come to us through social media or whatever, or through our service line. And it'll be something as simple as they've got 2 HDS screens and they've updated the software on only one of them, Blokes, we don't normally read the instructions on the internet and all that sort of stuff, are we? So it does say make sure you update everything on the network. And our units are heading closer and closer to making it simple that it prompts you, hey, there's new software available, would you like to download it? You say yes, and then follow the instructions. So with any brand of electronics, hopefully it's ours, but with any brand of electronics, always make sure you've got the latest software in there. It's a bit of a bugbear to me sometimes when someone says, oh, don't update the software because this happens. Well, they've done a lot of testing with the product, so it should be okay,
I am currently waiting for my unit to come back from Lowrance, my carbon unit, because I didn't update my software, and my fault. Totally, exactly what you're saying was my fault.
Yeah.
I religiously used to come home and always check system updates, and because I'd missed an update, it didn't pick it up. So
yeah.
I wasn't seeing that there was an update due for that unit. And, of course, when I got the new unit and linked them together, it kept saying my carbon needed an upgrade, and I couldn't get it because I'd missed one of the upgrades too much. And, in the end, had to send it back to have them upgrade it for me. So it was my fault. So
yeah, it's and some of the older units, not so much the carbons, but the ones before that, like Lowrance has been one of the brands that's kept with its plugs, the standard plugs, for so long, which is fantastic when you want to upgrade into newer screens and such. And you just literally drop the new ones back in, the same plugs that were there before. But a lot of people are also still trying to hook up like that little HDS 10 that you saw me holding in that boat before.
Yeah,
they're trying to hook that up to a HDS Live. Now, you got to remember that's a HDS 10. It's not far off of a 10-year-old, 11-year-old product, and you're trying to run it with the latest Rolls-Royce product. So it will work, but it will put the newer products into what they call a legacy mode. So you'll lose a lot of those new features, because if you try to run those features on the older products, the units will cut out. So you can go carbon and HDS, no problems, and even Gen 3 Touch with HDS Live, is not so bad, but you will miss out on things like your active target and features and those sorts of stuff if you are running the older units with the newer one.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I'm going to have to do Harry's wheel, because Harry is back at school now and has to go to bed. So I'm going to ask Harry to come out and get set up for his wheel. He's inside. He watches the show. So while he's getting set up, we're going to go on after the wheel, and we're going to talk a bit about lithium batteries and and stuff like that, because I think that's very, very important. We've had Nige ask a couple of times here, and I want to bring this question up. Any tips for stopping yo-yo from side to side with the Ghost? Now, I'm not 100% sure what he's meaning with yo-yo side to side.
Yeah, no, me either, to be honest with you. So I wonder if is he talking about
Nigel, send me a personal message, and I'll communicate with you during the week, and we'll see if we can work out what that is.
Yeah, we'll get one of our engineers and stuff to talk to him. That's not a problem. We'll work that out. Yeah, that's one of the best things about our products as well, is our lead engineers are across the ditch in the bubble that we can travel to now. You know, so our head office for Asia Pacific is actually in New Zealand, in Auckland, and there's over 150 engineers working on our products and designing new products all the time, just across the ditch. So one of my favourite things to do when we could go to New Zealand, and hopefully now we can for a while, is to actually walk through the R&D area, and you're not allowed to have phones and stuff out. Of course, I don't really want you taking photos, but looking at all the stuff that they're concept drawings of what could come out one day and stuff, it's really cool.
No, and that'll just blow me away seeing all of what you've got there. So, you know, all that stuff that you can see. So I'm just going through the questions while I'm waiting for Harry to go and get set up for the wheel. I'm just scrolling way back to see who asked there. Colin Thompson, any of the current trolling electronics controlled by Lowrance? Yeah, so you've got the Ghost and the XI5.
Yeah. What is the one thing you would say to a Garmin user to change to a Lowrance and Simrad one if we're looking to upsize? Go to your local dealer, sit there and play with the product. If you walk in and they've only got one brand on the wall, and they say the other ones are no good, well, maybe you should go to a different local dealer and just say, hey, what do you think about this? If you're comparing, you know, we've got some fantastic exclusive dealers that are just sell our products. But at the end of the day, the proof's in the pudding, man. Go to the product, play around with it, take an unbiased opinion. You know, it's changing the old can't teach an old dog new trick or whatever like that. So if you're used to using something, it's going to be a couple of trips before you get used to the other product. But honestly, the user friendliness of our products is fantastic, and it's not just one feature; it's the ultimate system for everything. You might have one extra button press for a certain feature on the chart plotter, but everything else on the chart plotter is easier. You know, the sound is easier. The auto features are more accurate. I've got a lot of faith in our products. Put it on the water next to anything at the moment, and we'll keep it up. And don't get me wrong, there's lots of talk about mega frequencies and stuff because we don't have that with the side scan yet. But you'll still see barramundi on there. I still see them. Doesn't mean I can catch the buggers, but you'll still see them on the side scan. You'll still see the shadow. And some even say you'll actually see the fish better or easier with the lower frequencies because they're not blending into the ground and then only seeing the shadow. So don't get me wrong, there's some amazing side scan technology out there, but for that overall package, we've got it sussed, man.
Yeah, for sure. And as I said, you know, I looked at for a while that I was going to convert, and I'm actually so happy that I stayed loyal, I can tell you.
Thank you.
All right. Now, I'm going to put you in the green room for a minute so you can go and take a leak or go and grab a drink or do whatever you got to do, because Harry's going to spin his wheel. And I've just got to pick a question. Is there any question that stood out for you that you thought stood out on top of anyone else?
Probably that last one I read out, to be honest with you. I like helping convert people from one brand to ours. So that one stood out a bit.
The Garmin to, where was that one?
Nothing wrong with the Garmin stuff, don't get me wrong, but I like it when people buy our stuff, of course, because it helps me take my son fishing.
Wade Clark, here we go. So, Wade, you've got 1 minute to tell Harry to spin the wheel, and we'll just...
I hope he's listening.
Yeah, I hope he's still on there. I hope he just got on there and asked his question and left. We'll soon find out if he comments on there. He's got a minute to comment anyway. What have we got? We're going to talk after Harry's wheel, because normally what happens is Harry spins the wheel, the big prize goes off, and everyone just jumps off, but I want to keep everyone. Thanks, Wade. There you are. You're in for the wheel. I'll get Harry up in a minute. So once we spin the wheel and give this prize away, I'm going to come back and we're going to talk about lithium batteries and electronics. So don't go away after.
Transducer setup. That's a big one we got to talk about. Transducer setup on any brand.
Yep, sweet. All right, so we'll get on to that. I'll just put you in the green room, mate, and we'll spin the wheel and see how Wade goes.
I'm here.
Oh, right now I was just laying down because I fell over.
You fell over, Harry. How you going, mate?
Good. Apart from falling over.
Apart from falling over. Listen, Wade has won the spin on the wheel tonight, mate. So are you going to spin the wheel for him?
I think so. Do you guess what my act is gonna be?
No. What is your act going to be, mate?
You'll see. I'm gonna spin the wheel.
All right, you spin the wheel.
And we have Mercury.
Oh, he's won the Mercury prize. So what is that, Harry? What have we got there from Team Mercury?
A life jacket.
A life jacket. There you go. A Mercury life jacket, Wade. So you
From
are
memory, I think it's like $80.
yeah, about $80 worth of value. That's a inflatable Mercury life jacket. So well done, Wade. What you need to do, mate, is send me a personal message with your address so I can post it out to you, mate. Well done. Thanks, Harry. You better go to bed now.
Yeah, I think I'm wearing your shirt because I couldn't find mine.
That's all right, mate. And I shall come and tuck you in soon.
Okay, bye.
See you, mate. Bye.
Bye. Good night.
There we go. There's my young fella. He is done and dusted for the night. So Wade Clark won the Mercury life jacket, and the postcode prize tonight was Dylan Walsh. So let's bring the man back in. All right, so we've got two more topics we really want to cover tonight. I normally try and keep the show to an hour, but they're very important ones, and I don't want to rush you, mate. So we've got unlimited time. We can go to midnight. This is the great thing about Chewin the Fat. So two things that you really wanted to bring up tonight. Tell us about. Well, let's go with transducers because it can cover all different units.
So one of the biggest, and it's, it can be having a beer at a boat show when they're on with the opposition guys. So let's say competition guys is probably a better word for it. And all of us have the same problem with people not mounting the transducers in the right spot. It's amazing how many people there'll be. We've got some classic photos of people that have. Aviation technicians saying that they'll install the electronics on their boat. And they might be able to work on an F-22 or some sort of fighter jet, but at the end of the day, they've never installed a fish finder before, and we've got images of people mounting transducers on the side of the cabin, upside down's quite common, all these sorts of things. I know we don't like to read instruction books, and if you don't like to read instruction books, then go and see someone like Dale Sinclair or, one of the people that actually do it for a living and have it installed properly, because you could be spending your hard-earned money on a fish finder and then literally wasting it if your transducer's not in the right spot. So there's a few myths where people say, you need 1 kilowatt and you need through-hull transducers, but realistically, if you're fishing in Port Phillip Bay, it's one of the favourite ones of Melbourne Boat Show, which is not going to be on this year, but Melbourne Boat Show, everyone's like, oh yeah, I need the 1 kilowatt transducer, and you're like, where do you fish? Port Phillip Bay? Oh no, but we'll go to Bermagui once every 10 years, so once every 10 years, will that justify buying a 1 kilowatt? Hey, we're more than happy to sell it to you, but at the same time, it's probably not worth that. That extra money you're spending on that transducer, you could spend on getting a bigger screen or active target or something like that instead,
Yep.
But a very, very common one is people say, my sounder doesn't work at speed. Now, there's a really good YouTube video, if you want to share it up the link one day, but it's mounting a total scan, Lowrance mounting a total scan transducer, okay? So it's actually one of the official Lowrance videos, not just someone that's made one in the US.
Yep.
And it shows you the image of the transducer at 70 mile an hour mounted in the wrong spot, and it gets air bubbles underneath it. Put it in the right spot, and it hasn't been moved. It's just literally gone down or up. In this scenario, it was up a little bit on the height of the transducer, and the air bubble disappeared, and the sounder works at 70 mile an hour. So a $200 fish finder can work at full speed as long as there's no air bubbles. So if you find that your boat works at rest, and then as soon as you start to drive and you get up on the plane and it starts to bounce along like this, what is happening is you're getting air underneath the hull. It goes over the face of the transducer and it cuts out the signal. 100% of the time, if your boat's banging, your sound is going to cut out. You can get through hull transducers. You can get flush mount ones that sit like right along the actual hull itself, and they can be more susceptible to air bubbles because they're actually, the turbulence still has to go underneath the boat and it has to go over the face of the transducer. But then you get people that have put a through hull on a fairing block, and that works really good, but then it can't go on the trailer because your boat doesn't roll off the rollers if the fairing block's there. So making sure that transducer is in the right spot is so important. Don't mount it behind something that's going to cause bubbles. Don't put it on the planing strake. So many people look at the boat and go, oh, that flat section there looks like where it should be, halfway out to the side of the boat. But just a few inches to the inboard side of it's probably going to be a better spot. So if you're not sure, the local dealer who you've bought it from should be able to help you. Take some photos of your transom or take the boat into them and get them to put a mark where it's going to go. You know, or better off, even better, get them to install it for you. Because transducer placement and voltage is two of the biggest causes of problems we have on boats. And it's nothing to do with what brand name or whatever on the screen. It's to do with, like I say, transducer placement and voltage.
Yep. All right. So before we go on to voltage, because I have, and I once again over years of practice have come up with that problem over and over again when you change boats or change transducers. The minute little fiddling to get it to read at speed has probably been the only thing that I've had to fiddle with in it, and it was always a height thing. It was never where I'd placed it, but it was always a height thing. Bo's asked a really good question here, and this is to do with active target transducers. So is it best to run it on the live transducer on the electric motor or on a pole? Now, I know the guy that you're in the room next door to you has done some recent videos with the pole, and I know that other guys are running it off the electric motor. Where do you see what would be the preference for you if you were setting it up?
Yeah, sure. It's a really good question, and it's like if you're fishing Lake Moala and it's dead calm, flat, beautiful day, and you've got the active target, or heaven forbid, hopefully the active target mounted on the trolling motor, and you're using it in manual mode, no problems. But if you put your spot lock on and it's a windy day and the motor's turning all over the place, the active target's going to be going with it. And most of the fishing I do on the Gold Coast where I live now and everywhere else, I pretty much go with the salt water side of things. There's always current, there's always tide influence, there's always wind and waves and that sort of stuff. So I'm forever moving the electric motor. So I've got it on one of Robbie Payne Engineering, if you haven't seen it, it's on Facebook. But I've got it on one of my active target, on our boat anyway, on a Robbie Payne pole. And it's really simple. When I'm finished, I just lift it up into the boat. When I want to use it, I push it back down over the side with the ram bracket that he suggests to use. And it's you can really then direct it and follow those fish like it's that video game fishing at the next level. When you sit there and literally just track, oh, the fish has swum that way. Oh no, I've lost him. He must have gone the other way, and you follow him back that way instead.
Yeah, no.
My personal experience is the pole. I like them on that. We're seeing some incredible aftermarket people designing some quite elaborate mechanically steered with like bike handles and gear levers to tilt it and all these other sorts of options. But
there is an absolutely awesome one that's in the States. I actually sent him a message to see
the electric one.
Yeah, no, foot pedal.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's a left and right foot pedal on the floor beside your electric motor, and it actually bolts to the front, 2 bolts like a 360 bolts.
Yeah.
the pole goes down the front of your electric motor and sits down there, and you actually run it like an electric motor. It's got a left and right. It's all cut out, and it comes up and down with your motor. It was just absolutely sensational, but they won't ship to Australia. So, I
probably can't keep up with what they're doing now. That's the problem.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you didn't have to take your hand off to steer it or anything. You could just put it to the left of your foot pedal and go left and right. So there's Dave Lawson. He has asked a question. What's Dave got? He's got just setting up a new boat that come with a through hull and separate side down scan. Past owner, not sure on the models. How do I find out with no silver tabs?
That's a good question. So the tabs should be on there unless someone's cut the plug and shorten the wire or something, which we never suggest to do. You always and don't coil your transducer wires up either. You want to run them back and forth on the boat instead, so they're only going past each other a couple of times.
Yeah.
But if it's a side and down scan only transducer on the back, it could be one of three options, I guess. Once again, maybe go to the local dealer and ask them, the local dealer who you're dealing with the gear with. And even if you're not dealing with the local dealer, talking to them, and if they're going to give you the time of day, then they're the guys you talk to from now on,
Yeah, for sure. All
and
right.
if you're not sure, you can take photos and send them through. Like, we've got a really good service center as well, 1300 Navico. And you can, ring them up and ask get an email address from them and email the photos if you want to figure it out that way too. But like I say, I keep stressing the local dealer. It's all well and good to be able to buy stuff interstate and everything like that, which, hey, it's fine if that's what you want to do. But I'm a real believer in dealing with your local guy, because that local guy knows your local waters. So.
Yeah, 100%. Now, we've talked about transducer placement. We need to talk about one of the other things that is a little bit of a bugbear of mine, and I don't know, especially at Boondooma and Biogi Peterson when I was managing the parks and I was right on the lakes, and I used to help a lot of customers out. They'd come out and they'd have fish finder problems, and most of it was always to do with the wiring, and most of it was to do with they were just backing off something else and just finding wire, and they were putting the crimps on and crimping wires and whatnot. Give us your side on the voltage.
Like I mentioned before, transducer placement and voltage is the two biggest killers for your experience on the water. So a classic story I had was a guy in Redland Bay who was quite vocal about how bad our product was on social media. We had replaced his screen, got his old screen back, nothing wrong with it, funny enough. But anyway, so the local dealer said, Ken, we really need your help. Can you come out and help us with this one? And so we've gone to the boat, and we got a nice public apology from the guy in the end, because we got onto his boat and he said, no, it's not voltage because my battery is fully charged. Now, your battery can be fully charged, but it's still got to go through all the wires, connections, fuse holders and everything to get to it. And I climbed underneath his dash, and because the supply voltage is one of my favorite things on the screens, on our screens, is one of the overlay data that you can turn on. If you haven't seen overlay data on your Lowrance units, definitely get into it. It's one of the best things to do. And the supply voltage, if you're having backlighting issues or your touch screen's playing up or anything like that, turn on supply voltage as an information bar. And that particular boat, he had 13 or 12.8 volts at the battery, which is fully charged, but at his screen it had 11. So it was 11.1, 11.2 and sort of changing. I thought that's pretty low. And I went underneath the dash and I grabbed the wires, which are just this big clump of wires going up to his dash. And as I moved them, his unit turned off. And I was like, well, that's interesting. So sort of turned it back on, and now the voltage went down to 8 volts and the unit was still running. I'm like, mate, that's a testament itself. It shouldn't be running at 8 volts, but okay, we'll go with it. And then I managed to get my hand in further behind that massive lump of wiring that was there, and there was a fuse block. And the fuse block itself had never been cleaned or never been sprayed with anything to protect it. And he was using WD-40 is what he told me, which is more of a cleaner, not so much of a protector for the fuses from what I've been told. But all I know is as soon as I saw, okay, that fuse number 4 down on the right-hand side was the one for that screen, as I touched the plastic of that fuse, it fell off into my hand. So the pinky plastic part came out, and the two prongs were stuck inside the fuse holder yet because they were corroded inside out. Now, behind all that wiring and stuff like that, you didn't know the problem was there, but that's where his fault was coming from. So it doesn't. When we say you've got a voltage problem, we're not saying your battery's buggered and you're no good at looking after your boat. What we're saying is there could be something else. Even the old glass style fuse holders that have got a spring inside them, that spring gives up over time, you know? Yep. That's why we use blade fuse and stuff on the new products these days. So making sure your connections are good, crimps are good. How many times we get let's see if I can do this with my hand on the screen. Let's say that's your crimp, and then your wire, and they strip back the rubber, and then they put the crimp in the wire inside the crimp, and then they crimp down onto the rubber still though, and they miss the actual wire. So every time you hit a wave, the actual connections literally, turning off. So the screen's turning off. So voltage is so important. And to be honest with you, that's why we just did this massive rewire. And I did it myself actually, because I like to know on my boat where everything is. And working closely with the guys from JSW Power Sports down in the Gold Coast, a plug for them. But I was working in their workshop and rewiring our boat. And if I could show you some before and after shots, because 4 years on a demo boat that's had multiple product ranges installed over and in it and on top of it, I had to just literally start from scratch. The only thing I didn't take out of that boat was the factory switches wire. I left them in there. Everything else came out and everything else went back in again. And because I was having voltage problems, it's probably got more to do with the size of the stereo system I've got on the boat.
You do love your tunes, yeah.
I do love them, man. Every good trip's got a good tune, So I don't. That's another hour's conversation for another time if you'll have me back. But the like this boat was killing 100 amp hour house battery in half an hour, and it's because I'm running 4 HDS lives, radar, autopilot, pumps, and a stereo system, and I literally had to, and I just got used to it. I just thought, well, I have not got any more room for more batteries on this boat without, taking up more storage space and adding more weight to the boat. I had 5 batteries on the boat already because of the 36 volt XI5 motor guide on the front.
Yep.
So I thought I'm just gonna have to deal with it. Just left the motor running all day long. It's cheap enough. It's economical enough to run it anyway, and it kept the battery topped up. But as soon as I turned the motor off, within 20, 30 minutes, I'm starting to lose power. And fair enough, the house battery that I had is only 100 amp hours, and it was probably a year and a half old or something, but it was too much for it. And it's one of those things, my colleagues will say, it's not your boat, it's my boat. It's one of those things. You've got to make sure that the units have got enough power, because in everything, even like your stereos, like a good quality stereo system, it'll sound really good at full voltage, and then all of a sudden the voltage will come down and the sound won't be as good because the voltage is not there. Your fish finders, your screens are all the same thing. If they're not getting enough voltage, they'll come down in the performance.
Yeah.
So on our boat, we use the guys from Enerdrive. So lithium batteries have actually helped me redesign the system. So we removed the 5 batteries, put 1 lead acid back in to start the motor for a cranking battery, and then we put in 1 200 amp hour lithium 12 volt battery, which when you do the comparisons between, I'm not a lithium specialist, or this is only what I've learned over the last few weeks of installing the stuff, but you look at the specs of a lead acid versus lithium. Now, lead acids, over the life of the charge of the battery, they taper off and they lose voltage halfway through the discharge, whereas a lithium, it's kind of like your digital TV. You've got all the reception, all the voltage, and then it drops off at the last minute.
Yeah.
So 100 amp hour lead acid battery is more like 50% of its lifestyle. So 100 amps, so 50 hours or 50 amp hours. Whereas 100 amp hour lithium battery is more like 98 hour, it's a supply. So it's new technology, don't get me wrong, and it's an expensive technology, yes, but this is kind of, I had the shakedown trip last Friday with my son during school holidays, took him out for a run on the boat, and everything worked fantastic. The stereo didn't go flat. I was like, having a great time with that. and I've got the 36 volt Enerdrive lithium battery for the XI5, and I was using it for. It would have been. I would have had to have used the motor for over an hour at a decent sort of cranking thing, and it only got down to 96% on the battery. So, like the cool thing is, I'll try and bring up a screenshot of my phone. I hope that works for you. But like with their new lithium batteries, they've got. Can you sort of see that?
Yeah, the Bluetooth meter. Yeah.
Yeah, the battery monitoring system in there, so you can sit there and see how much you're drawing and how much time you've got left on the batteries. So yeah, you don't have to go out and buy lithiums. Don't get me wrong, but you have to know that you've got 12 volt supply to the screen.
Now, is it strongly suggested that, and I know everyone's got different theories on this, but it'd be good to ask you that when you're wiring those bigger draw sounders like your HDS 12s and stuff like that are drawing a lot more, should they be wired directly from the battery and not through your buzz bar?
No, so through the buzz bar is fine as long as the buzz bar supplied the correct voltage as well, because I was on a boat not that long ago where they had 4 runs of speaker wire going from the battery at the back to the front. Or they did at the end of the 4 lots of the speaker wire, they twisted it all together to make it technically one bigger wire.
Yeah.
But then if one of those breaks off or corrodes or something like that, then you've only got 3 and then 2 and then 1, and you're not getting the volts up to it. So sometimes your wire your wire is as important to make sure you got the right gauge wire running to the dash. So once again, that's why a good quality local dealer who does that install stuff all the time, they can say you need such and such a gauge wire so we can have all the power. I had another one the other day where you had a 20 amp fuse on the buzz bar, of the fuse block, coming off, running to 4 screens. And I'm like, hang on a second, there's 4 screens off of one fuse here. Like the screens won't turn off. The 20 amp fuse, won't blow before the screens have a problem. So just because you got 4 screens on there and they normally have a 5 or a 3 amp fuse, it doesn't mean you times it by however many screens you got, So you've got to make sure that it's installed properly.
Yeah,
100%.
And look, we've had Mick Johnson on, and we've talked a little bit about making sure that the right wire is used. You know, don't skimp on the wire. Use the right stuff that doesn't
use tin
as much. The tin stuff. Make sure that it's the right. I'm not up to it, but the right thickness for the run. I've got my electric motor running down one side of the boat. I've got all my Finder stuff running up the other side, so I'm not running over. But I don't seem to have that much problem with the new electric because there doesn't seem to get any feedback either.
Yeah, there won't be because of the brushless motor. Yeah, I saw Barry Oxford there. Hey Barry, what he's mentioned, like don't only check the positive, check the negative as well. We see that a lot where people will put all the time and effort into making sure the fuses are nice and clean and the fuse block's got the right power, but then the negative's half the size of what it needs to be. So it's a fine art to making sure your boat's dialed up rightly, and if you're wasting all your money, hard-earned money on it without getting the right results, then maybe you need to talk to the right person who can get it installed correctly for you.
Yeah, my actual boat mechanic's on there, Mark Cook, and he's actually had a dig at me. I'll bring this up because it's quite funny.
It's on the Captain's Classic one.
He's seen my dodgy wiring. That's why I send everything into Mark to get done, because at least I know it'll be done right.
Yeah, like you might be able to make it work once, but to make it work the lifetime of the boat, get someone like Cookie there to do it. If you don't mind me calling him Cookie.
That's it. No, he's a great mechanic.
I just see David Lawson's little comment there as well. So the carbons are showing 11.7, yet the battery reading's 12.4. That's a classic example of the battery reading might be coming from closer to the battery and not on the screen itself. I've had examples of where the power cable, if they remove the screen on and off the boat, the power cable for the Lowrance unit the pins might be getting a bit stretched on the actual plug. Because we all kind of just reach behind it, got the plug out, no worries, or something like that. Or corrosion once again on the plugs, like in and out of those plugs all the time. Sooner or later they start to, get some surface corrosion on them. So Dielectric grease, that's a product that's worth its weight in gold as far as how much it costs, and it's really good. But putting that on your plugs can really help protect them. But for the sake of $35, $38, whatever it is for another Lowrance power cable, that can make the difference between 11.7 and showing a 12 point whatever voltage. You got to expect a little bit of voltage drop from the battery to the head units themselves. But like, for instance, with the new wiring I've done on our boat now, it's a lot tidier than what I had before. And the guys who helped me get it right down to, I'm getting like 0.2 of a voltage drop around the entire boat max. And like, that's, from running all 4 screens and anything like that. Like, that's not even, you wouldn't even call that a voltage drop.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, they're old blue power plugs, so there you go.
Yeah, but as I say, man, just for the sake, go to your local guy, say, hey, can I buy the new cable, new plugs, the red ones, they're the exact same as the blues. But it just, it can make the difference, You might even notice it yourself, you take it off. And funny enough, with Barry's comment before, the negative wires, I'm not a scientist, I don't know the reason behind it, but normally the negative wires or negative contacts are the first ones to corrode. So same on your battery on the boat itself. I always seem to see the negative wires. Maybe I don't know if there's any gurus on the thing watching us. You might be able to explain why, but the negative always seems to have more of the corrosion built up on the battery than what we do. Or what positive.
I don't know what that's from, but that's true. I've had that happen before.
Yeah.
And young Elon's got another one. He asks lots of questions, and lithium batteries for the weekend fish show. Look, my motto to the show, Elon, you would have heard me say it 1,000 times, is buy the best you can afford. All right, so don't go out and overextend yourself for anything. It doesn't matter what fishing gear, what boat, whatever. Don't overextend yourself. Buy what you can afford, and then upgrade when you can afford to upgrade. So if you can afford to buy a lithium battery, well, go and do it. But if you're thinking that, you're only going to go out or once a month or once every 6 months, well, it's probably not worth you buying a lithium battery. So on the bar corroding after 16 years. All right, so I'm going to call that quits because we're going to hit the hour and a half soon, mate, and people.
What are you talking about? I'm as fresh as a daisy still. I'm ready to keep going.
No, I will get you back on, and we might do something else. There'll be a release of something down the track or whatnot. Yeah. You might win the comp on the weekend because you have got quite a good fisherman fishing with you. So, you might win that one and get you on as a winner. So,
that'd be all right. Even just top 10 would be nice.
Yeah, there was one question that I did want to the trailer. Somebody asked if you're coming to Hume this year for the Hume family comp with the trailer. So I don't know.
Not sure. I'd have to look at the calendar with the marketing guys. But by all means, if you go onto the Lowrance Facebook page, they've got some updates of where it's going to be. Like it'll be at the Flatty Classic, at the Evan Heads Snapper Classic, that sort of thing. If there's any other ones that you think we should get it to, by all means, I'm actually even trying to get it out to the Fink Desert Rally because all the guys in the off-road buggies are running Lowrance screens because a lot of their other racing car stuff can't handle the continual pounding that they go through their cars. Yet the Lowrance HDSs and the and the Elite FSs are standing up to them. It's pretty cool when you see a big trophy truck running 2 HDS 12s on it. It's like, what?
And that's are they running them through the HDMIs, or are they actually using them for the GPS?
No, they're using them for the GPS. So some of them get really tricky, and there's some real gurus out there that can actually create the maps in the whatever the format is. I can't think of it at the moment, but you can create maps from Google Earth and all this sort of stuff. And there's people, I haven't had time to look at doing that, but people do it from different mapping options as such. And they, for instance, the Fink Rally track is people have got maps of it. So as they're flying along at hundreds of kilometers an hour, they can see roughly where the next turns are and all this sort of stuff, which gives them the upper hand over the other guys. So it'll come from the Baja Classic because it's right across the road from where our Lowrance factory is in Mexico, and one of the factories, and they've gone nuts with them over there, and now it's coming here as well. So,
yep, awesome, mate. Listen, you stay on the air there. I'm going to call it quits for the night. I'll have a chat to you off air before you go, and hope you had a good birthday, and thanks for coming on the show. And we'll get you on again at some other stage. So thanks, everyone.
Sorry, my recording studio is not as nice as yours at the moment. It's not all glamorous, but And
Hey,
the poor hotel guy said his hot water service has got a leak at the moment, so when we want to have a shower, we have to actually ring him to turn the hot water on. So
that's what you get for living on the road, mate. So thank
That's
you.
it.